After a year of combing through the galaxy, FitzSimmons are finally reunited. But, of course, that reunion is inside of an inescapable mind prison pursued by their darkest inner demons. But hey, they got each other, right? It is a glorious, heartwarming, and beautifully performed episode of Agents of S.P.O.I.L.E., Season 6, Episode 6, Inescapable. Hey everyone, D here, and welcome to this week's review of Agents of S.P.O.I.L.E. So yes, of course, spoilers, lots of them coming straight ahead. And don't want to forget to remind you about our quick jump index system. Take a look down in the description below. Got this entire review broken down into easy to reference, easy to jump to, time-coded segments. Jump forward, jump back, watch this review in any order you like. Also, if you want to come back and recheck some things later on, makes it easy. Anyway, yes, this week's episode, let's just dive right in. Great episode. I mean, look. Now, last week I had mentioned that, last week's episode, very difficult to review. There was a lot of information being dumped out, a lot of stuff sort of sort through. This week, kind of the opposite. A very straightforward episode. I mean, it's focused really on two characters. FitzSimmons finally together again. And yes, we do seem to have a repeat of themes. I mean, it does seem to be every season that FitzSimmons gets split apart and they've got to come back together. But it's always such a great journey. It's always so emotional and really just some amazing performances. Elizabeth Henstridge and Ian DeCastecker just doing some amazing work in this episode. Got to have some nice range too, going from their internal selves, their own personal emotional journeys, plus also playing some beautiful and tasty dark versions of themselves. Of course, we have Leopold, the doctor from the framework, always scary. But we get to see Gemma's little internal demon as well, which I had to, when we first saw her, I had to jump back and sort of rewind and go, oh my God, is that Elizabeth Henstridge right in there? And it is. Playing her own inner demon. Very dark, very cool, a lot of that Japanese horror feel to it. So yeah, it was just, again, a great episode. We get our reunion, we get that emotional touchstone, and we get some very powerful catch-ups of information, as well as just sort of sorting through internal demons. Where do we place our blame? Who do we need in our life? Who brings out the best of us? And also, who can we really count on in a pinch? All of that sort of explored this episode. So yeah, just in total, a great episode, a lot of fun, and some pretty intense performances. So the Prison of the Mind, aka your standard giant white room lit from the floor below. Look, I know it's a standard trope. It's easy. It makes sense. A white room representing a blank space, a perfect kind of empty canvas for the mind to sort of perpetuate. But it did sort of make me laugh when we first saw that, because I'm like, man, every time they have the mind, it's usually this simple, plain white room. But, kind of a nice white room. Got everything to it. I love Atara's presentation there with everything that they could have and all their stuff. Everything they need is immediately accessible. Anything they want can be instantly made. I mean, as a workspace, that is kind of nice. Downside also because it can make anything from your mind, and as humans are emotional creatures, as Enoch sort of touched on here as he was worriedly watching their vital signs not do so good. You can easily fall into some of your darker spaces, some of the trapped inside of your own mind. So in a way, works great as a prison, kind of a stressful workplace, though, to try and figure things out. But I did like, I like the whole opening bit there. First, of course, we get our great little FitzSimmons reunion. Wonderful. We get sort of the catch-up, which I sort of like. Well, I mean, we got the proposal. Let's start where things are. The first things. And I love that kind of idea because, of course, the same thing Fitz has been thinking about for ages. He's rehearsed this over and over again. We know this because he's already given this speech, and that's exactly what Gemma's wearing. And I like how it was handled. I mean, I like how they sort of edged into Gemma revealing this information. I mean, taking the proposal, kind of finishing the one sides together, we're unstoppable, the recurring theme in this episode. But everything else, letting Fitz say that, letting him have that kind of moment there. I think it was important to not rush into it. So I like the fact that they did sort of take that pace, that Gemma was being generous in that, because it is sort of a new thing. She can actually be proposed to freshly a second time, which I would say not many people really get the opportunity to do that. Or nobody, unless they're time travelers or something of this circumstance took place. So I love that opening bit. I love the catch-up, talking about the planets they've been through. Oh, yeah, the Fulgurth. Oh, yeah, the one with the triple sunset. Yeah, you know, we were there, too. Daisy got really upset with the locals there, you know, when they turned out. I mean, it was just kind of fun. A little bit of catching up, the adventures that each of them have had. But nothing sort of lasts forever. And this is sort of the nice thing where we do see Fitz and Simmons having their dark sides, not the physicality dark sides, the Japanese demon for Gemma and the doctor for Fitz, but more of those things of what we fall back into our support mental areas, which I thought was kind of an interesting exploration. How Gemma sort of puts everything up. Fitz dives in, attacks problems, where Gemma sort of is more standoffish, push it. What was it that her kid self said, which I thought was so wonderful? I'm not hiding, I'm not afraid, I'm observing from a distance in my bed. I mean, it was cute. But we're seeing these inner patterns of individuals, of how each of them sort of attack problems and sort of pull away from fears and issues, what their defense, internal defense systems are. So I thought that was sort of a fun exploration in this episode. For Gemma, of course, being pushed becomes back to her younger self. And of course, how do you get... And we had some great moments there too. I mean, I loved it. It was very sweet inside the room. I love the storybook, which was the story of her space adventures, all in cartoon format. The little prince searching for Fitz, and then we had Gemma and Daisy there, and Quake and Davis and Piper. I mean, it was a cool little storybook. When he closed it being the Darkhold. No, that's a bad book, poorly written. Just keep that. There's great moments. The fact how little, young Gemma is stubborn and doesn't give out, and the great arguments between adult Fitz and young Gemma. But again, just fun little character work right there. Engaging. But you can't get anything done. And I loved how Fitz used Ada to intentionally pull Gemma out of her childish retreat there. The robot girlfriend. Yeah, it was cruel. It was mean. You can think up of somebody to help him out. Yeah. But that wasn't effective work. It did get Gemma out, and focusing on sort of their other issues, which led to really, well, let's just say it, the best scene of the episode. So Mac's appearance was something new in this Mindscape, because before we've seen what you can create with intentional thought. We saw Gemma's retreat not only into her younger self, her younger identity, but also just a location where they've been before, her room, and of course back into the workspace. With Mac's appearance, we're diving back into flashbacks. And Atara had talked about how all of your memories were going to be instantly accessible, and how Gemma did not respond very well to that thought. Why? Because being with Fitz is certainly going to bring up one of the more powerful memories, and that is, well, his death and finding his body. And I loved how they set that all up. Again, just Mac being that open door for Fitz to go and walk in. What is he talking about? what's going on. Everybody's response, you can tell that it's a sad moment, and the body, and the fact that Gemma was in there, both as a narrator explaining what was going on, but also playing her own role. Everyone's just consoling her, and she's walking in, and everyone's responding. But the voice, but what she's talking about, how she's responding, is just her current narration. So I loved how they did that. I thought that was a nice way to keep in the scene, keep in that moment, but add that this was sort of a memory and a commentary on that. And then when Fitz opens up the body bag, and again, great shot, unzipping and being from the perspective of the body bag, which is perfect, looking up in a way at himself. That was awesome. And what followed, of course, was a lot of gun punches, some great emotional performances, which is why it is our Scene of the Week for this week. And yes, the whole following just super revelations going on. Because not only does Fitz realize he is dead, then he had to go forward and he had to come back. So sussing out all of these adventures, the times that he had missed, realizing the proposal had already happened. They had been married already. I mean, again, kind of an emotional shot. Took it a little stronger than I sort of thought that he would, but it had been impacted so much. But I guess the idea of, again, where he's been at. You know, everyone disappeared, and that he spent 6 months in military prison before Hunter helped him escape, as he was trying to figure out where they could have possibly gone, just wasting time. And then the whole adventures with Enoch and getting in. And we're talking about just the plan to go forward, let alone this past year of trying to get back into cryostasis. This entire time thinking of where he needs to go, what he needs to do. And now realizing, one, that he's already done it. And two, the greatest moment that he had planned for, his proposal, already happened. He's already been married. Again, it's just big emotional stuff. And Ian DeCastecker, as always, just playing it with so many levels. And Elizabeth Henstridge right up there with them. The two of them back and forth, feeding as she's trying to explain. I wanted to pierce this out. I wanted to slowly let you know these things. And they're just all coming out. And then, I don't know, what was the gut punch for me? Coulson's appearance. Not Sarge. Coulson. Before he died there. It was just, and then Fitz's realization that he's been, understanding that he's been sick, that he is dead. I mean, it was just, all of that was wondrous. And again, it wasn't just, oh, I'm sad at seeing these things. There were so many layers that were done in this, and realizations and depths and little moments inside of it. It was a beautifully done scene, and really supported by the entire cast right there. But the energy back and forth between Gemma and Fitz was just perfect. And then even as Fitz storms off, you can't seize it, not with Coulson not being dead, can't be there. And we get that final little coda there of Coulson coming up to Gemma. Again, Gemma drifting right back into that memory, no longer commenting, but back in where she was in the memory. And Coulson saying, you know he's out there? And then what are you doing? Then get back to work. It was great. It was nice. I mean, we did get the relation with Mac, that he was like, wasn't sure, wasn't going to do it, and yet he was the first one. You know, he insisted on a funeral for you, but he was also the first one to help do the modifications to the Zephyr to get things going. So, I mean, Mac, a great leader. Yes, he's hurt. Yes, he's making the decision to support his team. But seeing just Coulson there, knowing that he was the one that just, without a doubt, Mac is a great close friend of Fitz. Cares. Maybe not even fully believing it himself, but wanting to support Gemma. Coulson, and that's what Coulson is. He just knows. You know he's out there, then get to work. Go get Fitz. So it was just an awesome scene, beginning to end. So the rest of the episode is pretty much dealing with their internal demons. Of course, for Fitz, it is Leopold the Doctor, and for Gemma, it is the scary Japanese horror ghost creature. I don't have a simple title for Gemma's internal beast, but definitely scary. But we're also seeing here is how much the two of them rely on each other. Even before the ghosts do their attack, we had Gemma's little flashback and forward with Yo-Yo talking, concerned about from the future, concerned about Mac. She is what steadies him. If she's not there, he can just spiral off. And that's what Gemma's sort of repeating to herself as Fitz had sort of wandered off after the post-Coulson scene. So what we have here for the rest of this is, again, those internal demons, those things that stay with us all the time. Gemma mentioning even a doctor. You've heard him already. I mean, they're sort of in each other's minds right now, so it's not like you can really keep these secrets. But you've been hearing him, haven't you? He's in the back. You had that schism. He already made a resurgence in the future, and I don't want that to happen again. This is, of course, Fitz's inner darkness. But Gemma having her own, kept inside the music box, where you just stuff all of your fears and ideas. Repression, as I believe the point that Fitz gets to that, is going to come out in sort of a bit of darkness there. So I love those personifications. I love the pursuit. I love the sort of just animalistic energy of Gemma's inner demon. And of course, the Doctor fooling Gemma there. Oh, Gemma, come here. Where are you? Ha, it's me. Simple, but effective. And even then spiraling off from that point, really diving into like I said, these strengths they give themselves. I know I had sort of mentioned before that Fitz dives into problems and Gemma's sort of more observational, but that's not always the case, because it was Gemma that pushed Fitz into taking the field position with Coulson. What Fitz is saying is, we're the point where everything can be traced back to all of their dangers, all of their problems. On the other hand, it's also what made them who they are. It's what allowed them to bloom. It what allowed Fitz really the courage to face his relationship with Gemma, his emotions with there, and break out of the friend zone that was fortunately put in the one night. This is the night I became totally comfortable with you, Gemma. Yes, Fitz, and this is the night I totally put you in the friend zone. So without going onto the field where you say, you go out there to change the world, and sometimes the person who's changed the most is you. And I think that really was the case. As much Fitz is, in a way, pushing back with this idea of like all of these dangers, all of these mistakes, all of this trouble could have been avoided if we just hadn't taken that position. That's a BS answer. He wouldn't be who he was. He wouldn't have done the amazing things that he had done. He probably would have gotten killed by Hydra or taken over by them when they invaded at the end of season 1. I mean, things could have gone really differently. But that's not really what all of this is about. Just, again, finding those moments, seeing how much they mean to each other. The fact they keep saving each other. I love that last... Okay, well, first, yes, realizing that your friends can save you. That was awesome. Fitz being gutted by Ghost Gemma? Not awesome. That was nasty. I mean, we've seen the mind control device. That's bad. That's just sort of torture stuff that Gemma was going through. It's not literally having your heart cut out, which was really nasty. But the idea, we have each other, and I love how they did that. As they're both being sort of tortured, they're repeating back and forth, we have each other, we're there for each other. I mean, there was just, again, nice way of just visually and storytelling bringing those two characters together. Realizing that they can. It's their mind. They can bring everything they want. Who do we have helping Fitz? Mac, Hammer, of course. And going after Gemma, Daisy doing some sweet Quake action. So we got a little action sequences going on here too. It doesn't last. Pursuit going on. And eventually being trapped inside a containment pod with each other, surrounded by their own inner demons. How much better of a visual can you have about having to work your own shit out? It is right there. And I loved how Gemma and Fitz are going after each other. We get that shot outside of ghost Gemma, like I said, I don't have a name for a demon Gemma, and the Doctor just look at each other like, what's up with these guys here? But a great scene, again, finding out we're always there to save each other. We'll always be there for each other. We'll fight through anything that we can. I'll tear the universe apart for you. Just, again, there's great moments, anger, yelling. There's a lot of emotion happening there, of course. But they have their breakthrough. They're willing to face their demons together. They know they can get out of it. Of course, that is how you get through anything. The person you love, partnership, you get together, you're unstoppable. And they are. And their dark sides really took a liking to each other after that. But it makes sense. Once you sort of decide to face your inner demons, they're not as powerful as they are. And all of that was done through that expression of love and emotion, even through the sort of violence idea. So the fact that that sort of just transferred over to Doc and Demon, yeah, that makes sense. And they just learned a couple extra things about each other maybe they wouldn't have found out for a while. So, learning experience too. So now FitzSimmons really has truly reunited on all levels. They've accepted each other's love, their need for each other, the fact that they're better with each other. They have faced off against their own internal demons together, so they know, regardless of being in prison, as long as they're together, they can do anything. And also very concerned about these serious ramifications that can happen with time travel. Maybe that's what's going to be the best. They're going to be in prison, but they're going to be together. Which, of course, Atara's not going to allow that to happen. She's going to separate them because she's cruel, she's vicious, she's also KO'd thanks to Enoch, and that was awesome. Expected. I mean, we had a nice trace through the episode, seeing as they entered the red zone, the dangers cranked up, and Atara, again, strangely obsessive about getting the information. Push too hard, kill the subjects, you're not going to get the info that you want. But she didn't seem to care about that. There's something wrong with her programming, I think. But I love Enoch stepping forward. Yes, he wants to save his people, but he's not going to sacrifice his friends. He had to do something bold. And I love that for him. So yay, they are escaped. And I have to say, when he activated that little moment, I don't know what the range on those things are. I don't know how far they can go. Is it just going like one ship over to the next system, a local planet? I was hoping for a moment, to be honest, that would send them straight back to Earth. Because when we had our little epilogue scene with Mac learning like, man, Fitz is alive. Gemma was right. He's out there. I mean, even as he's thinking, because it would have been the perfect timing, which is probably why they didn't do it. But he was like, no, they're going to be fine together. As long as they're together, it should be great. In fact, they probably already escaped. If they just appeared with Enoch right there next to him, that would have been perfect timing. But maybe too perfect. Maybe that would have been too much. I would have loved to have seen it. It would have tied things together. But I guess we've got to have a little bit more space adventures, a little bit more time. That would have probably been a little too simple. And I'm not sure how the Chronicons can trace that. Maybe you want to do a few jumps. Try and lose pursuers beforehand. Just a thought. Alright, just a couple of small things. One, Gemma had mentioned that Atara had been pursuing them for the past year. But has she? I know we haven't gotten anything really sort of solidified, but it was only at the beginning of this season, the 1 year later, where our hunter got the wanted poster of Enoch and Fitz. And then also it didn't seem that, why would Atara have, if she didn't have the Confederacy ships yet, which is the ones that attacked Fitz and Enoch at the very beginning with the big spinning cool looking thing that sliced through their ships. Because of course, why would she attack them with a weapon that could kill them if she was trying to find them? And then also we got the info that that Mac had seen what happened to Chronia 2. And he got that little memory chip. So, did Chronia 2 just get taken out right before Sarge came to Earth? Was that the last planet? They seem to have implied that. At the very least, they definitely seem to be saying that it was the Shrike attack that took out Chronia 2. So, Description-wise, that's where things get a little sort of jumpy, because Atara had said that their planet was set afire and then molten, superheated, molten, and then cold and just solid rock now, which, yeah, nothing's living on. But is that what the Shrike do, or is that what happens when the Shrike leader, creator, shows up? Is that a following thing with him? So there are a few questions, but they do seem to imply there, one, that the Shrike are the ones responsible for taking out Chronia 2, so we're going to have that little story connection going on. But also just was wondering, has Atara actually been pursuing Gemma for the past year, or has that really been just basically this past week, 2 weeks, however long it's been since the season opened up? Thinking it's two different pursuers, but we still got to kind of get a more nailed down time frame here with what happened with Chronia 2 and when that happened. Oh, but admittedly, the recording that Mac watched may not have been this world that Sarge had just come and his team had just come from. That could have been several worlds ago. So if that was Chronia 2, that could have happened further back, not quite so recently. But just, again, just sort of curious time-wise. I don't think Atara's been pursuing them for the whole year. It doesn't seem to add up. I did appreciate that Fitz is, of course, still stuck with his brick of paper idea of looking at time, that nothing can be changed. You can't, causality is so important, you can't jump back and forth and alter things. Because, of course, he hasn't had the time-traveling adventures his other self had in order to reassess that particular theory. But the fact that the moment that does come up, that this has happened, and his first response is, well, that would create all sorts of paradoxes. Just immediately he is switching. I just love how fast him as a character is. Just will take the new information and just immediately reassess himself. And then, of course, Gemma throwing back out that the other Fitz was, well, one of those paradoxes. Yeah, so time travel. Very risky. Of course, that's why Fitz isn't going to do that. Oh, and I would like to say again, just what an amazing job Elizabeth Henstridge and Ian DeCastecker did in this episode. I loved seeing their time travel bits, playing back their younger versions of themselves, looking very much like Season 1 there, when they did that introduction with Coulson, which I love, the fact they can re-embody those sort of younger versions of themselves. It was cool to see. They were great little moments, and again, their performances. And again, and I really loved how they would live both in the memory and comment on the memory within the same scene, kind of even a constant back and forth. That was something that I really enjoy how that was structured. I think that was a great directorial choice for their story. Oh, so obviously I do have to alter my theory that I proposed so egotistically last week. I mean, come on. I want to jump. I want to try and figure out where they're going. But yeah, since Fitz has escaped this mind prison, probably not going to create the monolith. Though it was interesting that did pop up. One of the first things in the mindscape, which caused Gemma to eventually sort of run off in her childlike form, is that Fitz already approaching the problem, thinking of the monolith. It's disturbing presence. For him, but again, already jumping to that idea. And we know that Benson does want to go and look at where the monolith was discovered, and the whole tie-in, Pachakutek tie-in with the Incans down there. So we definitely know that Fitz is going to be coming back to Earth, and he'll probably be joining Benson to look further in, and maybe it's that further exploration of where the monolith came from, which will get our eventual connection in with the Shrike. I still think, again, Earth's going to be an important play on that. But we could just erase the whole Fitz creates the monolith idea. Seems much less likely now. Alright, so I think that's going to wrap things up for this week. So yes, FitzSimmons and Enoch back on the run, hopefully heading back to Earth soon. And you know the team is going to need them, because they got Sarge, they got his team, and they've got the Shrike situation to deal with. So very glad we're going to jump back to Earth. We're going to see a little bit more pursuit of that. Want to get some more backstory on Sarge, and just love, just in a brief preview, how he's messing with everyone who knows Coulson around him. Really, really kind of a mean guy in that sense. But Clark Gregg does play him deliciously. Anyway, so that's going to wrap things up for this week. Thank you so much for joining me with this review. And if you enjoyed it, please go ahead and hit that like button. Thoughts, ideas, and comments, throw them down in the section below. What you guys think about this episode? Did you like the character-focused bits? Did you just miss everybody else and want to get back into the action? I totally understand. Go ahead and let me know in the section below. You can always catch me on Twitter and Instagram. I am at Darren Jakes. And if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. Legion Season 3 starting up this Monday. I've been diving back into the past 2 seasons. Really enjoying it. Can't wait to see how that storyline is going to wrap up. So that is starting up this Monday. So we're going to be doing S.P.O.I.L.E.R.S and Legion for the next month and a half or so. And then in August, we'll have Preacher Final Season 4 coming up as well. So don't miss any of those reviews. You won't if you're a subscriber. Do that by clicking this button right here. And we'll throw up a couple of our latest reviews right here for you to check out. So that's going to be it for me. I'm D, and I'm out of here. Catch you guys next time. Bye-bye.